Welcome back, all my 40k fanatics out there. I'm DJ here with Tim's Nation to bring you my list. That will be facing off against Lane tonight and his DeathWatch in our battle report. My list today is my Canoptek Harvest that I've been teasing about. Friends of the channel will know that last edition in 9th, I was running a competitive list that I deemed the Canoptek Harvest, which ran double Catan. Today I won't be taking any Catan as I want to emphasize all of the Canoptek units right off the bat. I'm a big fan of all the Canoptek units. The Wraiths, Scarabs, Spiders. I love everything that their look, their feel, how they function on the battlefield. So today I'm going to bring them all. Put them all together into what I feel initially was the most comprehensive build I could with all of the Games Workshop index-based Canoptek units that are available right now for the Necron Dynasty. Now, I say Games Workshop because I will not be bringing any of the Forge World ones. We're going to be covering those in a later video. And a lot of that just comes to expense and getting your hands on some of those things, like the Sentinel and the Stalker are very, very fragile models that I'm looking forward to getting my hands on here in the near future, but they're very fragile and still hard to come by at a decent price. So this is going to be the Games Workshop only, the plastics of the Canoptek units, which are some of the ones we see most commonly in Warhammer 40k. Maybe some of these units not so much in 10th edition because they're not as competitive, and that's why I want to bring them here on the channel. Give it a chance to show what all these units could potentially do and see if maybe there's some magic mixed in that we might have missed in some of these data sheets. One of my favorite things is when I put a unit on the table and you don't exactly know how it's going to perform, and then slowly you go, well, then I do this, then I use this stratagem, and then this, and then everything starts to go together, and it's, oh, that's how that works. So that's what we're going to be doing tonight. I love my Canoptek units. So this is going to be fun for me, win, lose, or draw. I'm going to have a lot of fun with this, and it's going to be a great learning experience. And hopefully I can give some information out there to all you guys, so those who want to run Canoptek units maybe don't get the opportunity to get as many games as someone like myself can see how this stuff functions on the table and go, okay, that's the unit I want to run. I want to run those things. So guys, if you haven't subscribed to the channel already, please do. Turn on the bell for notifications to get notified on the battle report, Lane's video talking about his army, and all of the content that we bring you here on the channel. All right, got through all that stuff, talked a bunch. Let's get over to what we're here for, the Canoptek army list. All right, here we go. Canoptek Harvest, 10th edition. So, for starters, I will be not taking an Overlord. I only have the I have Technomancers leading this force. And yes, there's a couple little non-Canoptek units, which we'll talk about in a bit, because there's a little bit of a trick I want to work with them. So let's go over the Canoptek units first. First things first, we have three-man squads of Canoptek Wraiths. All of these guys will have particle casters, and all of them will have the Vicious Claws for this matchup. So with other units like the Scarabs that I have in here that can do the low strength, high volume of attacks, I felt like the Vicious Claws were the better option. Not to mention with what the strength is, the strength 4, and the weakness of the whip coils in general, I felt like the AP1, even though it's only 4 attacks versus 8 attacks, is still going to do more damage turn over turn, pound over pound. These guys also do have some other abilities to be able to go into small armed units, but I feel like for the most part, and with most of my builds, it's a whole entire competitive mindset, not just a DeathWatch mindset, but every army in the game mindset. I still feel like the Vicious Claws, pound for pound, are the better option with the Strength 6 AP 1-2 damage. These guys are all going to have particle casters because I think that's a really cool gun. 3-shot pistol with devastating wounds at hits on 2s sounds like a really, really good time to me. Now we'll move over to our big guns, the Canoptek Doom Stalkers. Everyone knows I love these guys. I think they're great. I think they're awesome gun platforms. The 5-up Overwatch on them is really, really cool. And these guys will be able to put out some flat 3 damage to pick up some of, well, in this matchup, Lane's Terminators that I'm sure I'll be seeing today. Otherwise, there is some vehicles in Lane's list, so I'm going to see what I can do with these guys in order to take care of those. And I feel like their 4-up invuln will help me to be able to get these guys into later points of the game. With that being said, if they don't, it's not as big of a hammer to my army as you would think, because they come in at 125 points apiece. So they're not even that expensive. So I love these guys. I think they're great. I think they do a lot of damage. I think they have a lot of play with them. So I'm excited to bring these guys today. I hope you were excited to see them here too. Next up is kind of, these guys kind of go hand in hand. So you're going to hear me talk about these both a lot. But we'll talk about the spiders first. So I have 3 two-man squads of spiders. Since now in 10th edition, the max squad size is 2 apiece, or 1 to 2. They all will have double particle beamer, a fabricator claw, and gloom prisms. So the gloom prism is not going to matter very much today, given a 4-up feel no pain against psychic attacks. But that'd be something very, very nice, especially with Thousand Suns lurking around at the top of the meta. The Fabricator Claw gives the ability to give my vehicles a 6-up feel no pain. So that's going to be very, very, very nice for the Doom Stalkers beyond their 4-up invuln to also have that 6-up feel no pain. And the Particle Beamer itself is a devastating wound gun with D6 shots apiece. And since they have 2 of them, they'll get 2 D6 shots. Strength 6, AP 0, 1 damage. Mostly I like that for the devastating wounds. And the fact that it's ballistic skill 3, which is something very rare to see with Canoptek units. And the last little piece of the puzzle with these guys is the Canoptek Swarm ability. These guys can put an individual Scarab base back into a Scarab unit as long as they're within 6 inches of the unit. Now, with this ability, this is not one that says it can only be targeted once or done once per turn, etc., etc. So theoretically, multiple spiders or multiple spider units in range of the same Scarab unit after reanimations, after all that jazz, can continuously put Scarabs back into the unit. In your command phase, select one friendly Canoptek Scarab unit within 6 inches. One destroyed model is returned to that squad unit for each spider model in this unit. This can be done multiple times. So I'm looking forward to seeing how that actually plays out, considering our bug friends, the Canoptek Scarabs. These guys have, well, there's less of them. You were used to be able to take them in units of 9. Now it's max squad size of 6. So that concerns me a little bit that these guys might get picked up a little too easily. They still do have those 4 wounds apiece, but are only come with a 6-up save, and there's no real way to give them an invuln. They'll probably be able to take advantage of cover. However, with Fly being weakened the way it is, for some reason, swarms cannot go through buildings, which does not make sense. How is it that a power armor Marine can climb through buildings, climb through walls, but a teeny tiny little bug can't float through the window? I don't get it. I don't understand that one. But regardless, that is going to be a factor, which means these guys are probably going to take more firepower and hits than I would initially like. So we'll see how the spiders are able to do with them and how resilient these guys are actually able to be in 6-man squads. They have the self-destruct ability, as well as the fact that their swarm ability knocks objective control value down of other units. So their objective control value 0 might not be as much of a burden with the objective game, since they can take 1 away from units to a minimal of 1. And then being able to blow up Scarab bases, if I'm able to get those guys back pretty easily, or pop the reanimation stratagem, I can keep bringing these guys back all game long, as long as they don't get completely isolated down and peppered off the field. I know Lane's got some PTS about Scarabs, so these guys may not last very long, but we'll see. We'll see. This is my first time getting 6-mans out there like this, so I'm definitely interested to see how they do. A lot of attacks with 6 attacks and a weapon skill 5, though. So, yeah, we'll definitely, this will be a talking point to come back to these guys and see how they perform on the table. I need to get them out there to see. They have a 9-inch move with Fly, so they might be able to utilize that to get through some terrain, but for the most part, they're going to be right in the middle of it. Last of the Canoptek units is our personal favorite, the champion of the Necrons in the auto-include category, the Canoptek ReAnimator. Canoptek ReAnimator's got a gun, but that's not what we're here for. We're here for his reanimation beam. So this guy is going to be able to, in an aura effect, give an additional D3 every time a reanimation protocol is procced. I'm bringing 2 of these guys today. Now, I don't have all the warriors and the immortals, and I do got a little Lich Guard, which we'll talk about in a minute. But that reanimation protocol does function even for units that are just healing, like the Doomstalkers. The Doomstalkers heal themselves off a reanimation protocol. So instead of healing D3, they would heal 2D3. And then with things like the Wraiths, the Spiders, the ReAnimator really is going to be able to boost them, that if these things don't get finished off, I could be bringing back an entire dead Spider back up to full health in the next turn. So these guys are huge in every single list. This is the first time I'm running 2 of them. I know they're going to do well, as long as they don't get completely annihilated right off rip with some artillery fire, etc., or something jumping in the backfield and just popping them. They are very good, and hopefully will be the linchpin to be able to keep this list together and running and be basically my battery in the backfield. All right, now we got to get over to the one section of non-Canoptek units. Now, to be fair, last edition, the Crypto Thralls were actually Canoptek units. So, yeah, we'll give them the nod with this one. But the Lich Guard really don't fit into the Canoptek mold. And this is with something I wanted to try. I know that we've seen competitively that the Lich Guard have been very, very good at walking up the middle, taking the center, and just not being able to get killed. They are very tough. I know a lot of people are saying that they are quote-unquote too tough. I disagree. I think the Lich Guard are just fine. I think they're a very tough unit that we have. And yeah, I hope that they stay this way and we have the ability to play Lich Guard because, man, they're cool. Man, are they cool. But we'll see how that goes throughout the edition. As of right now, one thing that I've noticed is everyone runs a 10-man brick. We run 10-man bricks so these guys can walk up the middle. However, Lich Guard do not have the best move characteristic. They only have the move characteristic of 5, as well as everything else in the unit only having a move characteristic of 5. So that got me thinking, what if we use the Lich Guard as just bodyguard? So for this list, I'm taking 2 5-man Lich Guard squads. My first theory is Lich Guard are a unit that people struggle with to take out a 10-man brick as it is. So and that's something we're walking right up the middle. So what if I'm hiding a 5-man? That's going to be almost impossible to kill in its own right. These guys are going to be escorting a single Technomancer. One of my Technomancers will have the Veil of Darkness. Both will have a Canoptek control node. I will not be taking the Sovereign today. The reason I didn't take the Sovereign Cornell in this list is mostly because of points and character efficiency. I couldn't find a character. I know someone's going to say Hexmark, Hexmark, Hexmark. I couldn't find a character that could keep up with durability for the point cost. My fear with the Hexmark is that I land the Hexmark down and then someone's able to easily move within 12 inches and pick him off for this list. I didn't feel like he had enough defense to be able to do what he's doing. And as well, with a lot of my lists being more close combat and speed oriented and me trying to move probably across the table relatively faster than most Necron lists, I didn't feel like the Hexmark fit with this fold. And then when you go down the list of other characters, we don't have very many that have the lone operative to be able to take the Sovereign because you can't join anything to a lot of the other units like the Scarabs, the Wraiths. Can't join anything to them. So Technomancers heal. They heal damage. They heal not models, but they heal damage back. Technomancers can take the Canoptek control node. So that gives me the aura for +1 to hit for Canoptek units, which fits with this army. However, once again, Technomancers cannot join Canoptek units. So I needed to join them to something. And of course, I'm going to go with the big boys. I did consider going a little bit weaker to save point cost, but this is actually a combination competitively I've been wanting to try out for a while to see if there's some value behind it instead of using the Lich Guard completely offensively and taking the center of the table. What if we were using them as defensive buffs? Is it too many points dedicated behind that and they don't really have that much of an effect? Or are they able to be a late game threat that we can use other things to whittle our opponent down, that a 5-man of Lich Guard is just still unstoppable, and being able to separate those points out elsewhere and take other things to help win missions and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So this is something I've been wanting to try for a while. This list feels like it's a very good option to test this out because I can't really join any characters to any units, and the lone operative of the Hexmark really feels like he's just going to get pummeled into oblivion and be too easy of a target to just remove. Both squads of Lich Guard will have 2 Crypt Thralls with them because there is no reason to not take them. They're amazing. So it'll be more like an 8-man squad. 5 Lich Guard, 1 Technomancer, and 2 Crypt Thralls. Yeah, so that's kind of the play with them. One, again, will have the Veil, so I'm able to pick up, move, and drop the Veil down to be able to continue using this buff going forward over the course of the game, and hopefully the Lich Guard are able to protect and keep me alive for that one. So that, in general, is the list that we're looking at for today. Yeah, there's some wild stuff in there. Some stuff that I'm not 100% sure how I like over the grand scheme of things, such as the Wraiths. The Wraiths are rather pricey. The Wraiths are rather for what they do. But the Wraiths have multiple layers where they're able to do damage, whether it's with the Particle Beamer or the Wraith form flying over. So I'm interested to see how they do. Plus, being 3-wound models and the new reanimation protocols, I'm very curious with them. They're beasts, they can move through walls. So there is still some hope with them there that their role probably just has changed, where in older editions, they were kind of a tar pit of a unit that could do damage as well, to now they might just be straight damage, that's what we're using them for. So I'm curious to see how they roll out. Everything else I'm pretty confident will do at least halfway decent. I considered a Catacomb Command Barge with a Resurrection Orb, but then when I looked at the Resurrection Orb more in detail, I realized it doesn't affect a lot of the units in this army, so he got pulled out. And yeah, so that's kind of what I'm going with tonight. I think the Doom Stalkers will be able to provide some efficient fire as well as being a nice distraction, because if you don't answer them, they're just going to keep walking across the field. And it's also going to be something that's going to make Lane have to really respect and watch his movement, because anywhere he goes, I can pop an Overwatch strat. These guys are really tall. They have really good line of sight. And if you land within 24 inches of me with any of his DeathWatch shenanigans, I'm going to be able to put some firepower down onto those units. And because of that 5-up, that could be, whoops, accidentally quite a bit of things. I remember in our first time testing them, he moved a land speeder. I don't know if it was one of the bigger ones or the little ones, I can't remember. But he moved the land speeder out and I picked it up off of an Overwatch. So that was really huge, and that made me look at these guys a little bit different. And because there's 3 of them, you know, one of the things is like, especially with Marines, they love their Oath of Moments. So if they Oath of Moment 1 Doomstalker, that's 2 that are not going to get Oath of Moment, and it's going to be kind of tough from that point on. So and 4-up invuln and possible 6-up feel no pain means they can absorb and make him dedicate more shooting than he would want to into a single target 125-point unit. So that's basically that. I'm going into this game. I'm not expecting to win this one, but I am expecting that I should be able to get some really, really, really good data out of this, due to the fact that there is a lot of new units that I'm trying for the first time. And even though I say I'm not expecting to win, oh, you better believe I'm going to try to. Lane beat me up the last time we met. So believe me, I'm looking forward to it. And if I can hand Lane an L with Canoptek Harvest and beat up his DeathWatch, that will be a happy, happy night for me. So yes, I am going to be trying my hardest to put a W down on this one, but I feel like there is a lot of limitations that I'm bringing the list down versus Lane and his competitive DeathWatch, because Lane's bringing the heat for me tonight. So, all right, guys, hope you enjoy this list. Hopefully we'll see you over on the battle report, and we'll talk to you again soon. Thanks for watching.